छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
MDH।
Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Welcome back, and now time for the nation's sharpest opinion. And I want to begin by saying that if any of you are receiving this on a WhatsApp format or a video format on your phones or your mobiles, or you end up receiving it in that manner, then please take this forward and send it, if you can, to someone in the Supreme Court of India, the appellate courts of the country, to the high courts of India. Send it to the judges. Let them realize what's going on in this country. Send it to the government. Send it to the law minister. Send it to anyone. Let us wake up on this tariq by tariq torture that people in this country have to go through in the name of the justice system. I want to tell you the story today of a man who's been made innocent at 104. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Lakhan Saroj. He's a resident of Kaushambi district of Uttar Pradesh. He was arrested in 1977 on a trumped-up murder charge. He was put in jail for 5 years as an under trial. The trial did not begin. He was convicted after 5 years in 1982. And from 1982 till 2025, for 43 years, his appeal process has been going on and 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 on, and tariq pe tariq. What the judicial system in this country will continue to serve, and we are told, oh, we become digitized, we become modern, we become great, we become responsive. And why do I not believe it, ladies and gentlemen? I do not believe it because of what I see. I do not believe it because all those great speeches that the great jurists and judges want to make about the improvements in the judicial justice system in this country, I do not believe it. Because I see a 104-year-old man who has spent 48 years in prison, 43 in appeal and 5 as an under trial, released at the age of 104 by a cruel system, which even after releasing him, it took 18 days for the order to reach the prison for him to be released. 48 years, ladies and gentlemen, of a man's life. At the age of 104, he is released. His wife is no more. He cannot recognize his family. His Aadhaar card says he was born in 1921. And the bigger question is, he was 26-year-old when India became independent. He was 30-year-old, or rather should I say 36 years old when he was 56 years old, ladies and gentlemen, forgive me, when he was arrested, and he's released from jail at the age of 104. And the system now says, oh, we made a mistake. Mr. Lakhan, you are now free. Be happy and be grateful that you are free. This is what happens. When you are poor in this country, your life is stolen. There is no compensation for your years lost. And our system does not feel the need to explain to a 104-year-old man why he lost his entire life. And I do not want to make a direct contrast, but I would like to ask with sincerity, not in an accusatory tone, how many lawyers Justice Verma, who should have been impeached for the cash burning case, how many lawyers he has and how much money he can afford on those lawyers. And forgive me, my lords, if you consider this to be an indiscretion, but consider that everything that I'm said is what the people of this country feel when they see a case like this. It is not an exaggeration. My lords, consider this case. Make a comment. Next time any of you make a speech when an appeal made 43 years back is dealt with, and not because he had the resources, but because the government and the system decided, good, We need to clear old files. So let's pick up that 43-year-old file, look at it. Let's release this 104-year-old man so that nobody blames the system if this man dies in prison. His wife died 21 years ago, my lords, when he was still in prison. And you want to know one more thing, my lords. And I know I'm not going to get brownie points among judges tonight, but judges are also human, and so am I, and so are you. And we must speak the truth to each other. When he went into jail, his children were 4 or 5 years old. They grew up, they got married, they had children of their own, all without their father. He missed every birthday, every wedding, everything. For him, he was a memory, not a presence. His wife died 21 years back when he was 56 and he was taken into jail. She put together all her life savings and kept saying, I will get my husband out of jail. I'll get my husband out of jail. Ladies and gentlemen, when he was 83-year-old, he was in prison. His wife died. And today when he comes out at the age of 104, all he asks is, where is my wife? How was she in her last days? How was her life? Did she suffer too much? And we sit and we talk about becoming a great country. Ladies and gentlemen, is this freedom, and is this freedom for all the people in this country? And what is the accountability of a system to a poor man? We talk about lifting people out of poverty. We talk about expeditious trial. We talk about a speedy trial being the basis fundamental right. We talk big things. We talk about Article 21, life and liberty. This is a violation of Article 21, ladies and gentlemen. This is a violation of a person's fundamental right. And when a person is declared innocent at 104, my lords, please tell me, where does the person go? And who does the person ask? And how insulated has our system become to poor people? And the problem is nobody likes to talk. You know, my lords, the media also does not like to talk because the media does not want to take a chance upsetting judges. You'll be asked, you'll be told you've carried out contempt. And this fear among the media, we must not talk anything about the judicial system, lest we tread on someone's shoes. But someone in this country will have to. Because when a 17-year-old Pune teen killed 2 techies while driving his Porsche, someone from that judicial system said, write a 300-word essay on how bad you feel about it, and you are released. And that is the reality. That is the reality, ladies and gentlemen. The reality is that the poor people in this country have no one to look up to. And I know politicians won't like it, judges won't like it, but no citizen of this country feels that they can trust the system. They feel they have to be afraid of the system. We spoke on this channel a couple of months back about the Justice Yashwant Verma case. He should have been impeached by now, but between the political system and the judicial system, they know what they are doing. But I know that this was the cash that was burning in his house. I know that the families of the 1997 Upar fire victims, where 59 people lost their lives, continue to fight for justice. And I know that Neelam Krishnamurthy is coming into my studio today because she wants to continue to fight. But we know the truth in this country about how difficult it is for ordinary citizens to feel reassured that the law is on their side. Cases pending, cases pending, cases pending. And yet, one feels frustrated. With long intellectual debates on needless subjects where everything goes to the court and everything has to be dealt with in the court. Everything, whether the courts have domain expertise on them or not. But everything will have to go to the courts, and the courts will have to deal with everything, even political issues, even matters which I feel are truly in the realm of the executive. But the courts have the time to look at all that. But where were the courts and where were the system, ladies and gentlemen? Where was the system? When a man at 104 came out, and I don't know if I have the visual of that still picture of him coming out of jail. He comes out of jail at the age of 104. This picture should be sent everywhere. This video should reach people, not this one when he comes out of jail on the jail doors. And the problem is in our country, we are too busy discussing how Ukraine hit Russia, and we are too busy discussing who will win the IPL final. We don't care. And we are way back in the benchmarks of any kind of judicial reform. Ladies and gentlemen, 75% of people in the jails of this country are under trials. This is incarceration by other means. But nobody seems to be in a hurry. And the courts don't like it if anyone says that there are long holidays in the courts, because there has to be a sense of urgency. Someone has got to say it. Why are the holidays so important? Why is clearing the backlog not important, my lords? We need vacation benches, but we need more than that. We need urgency. And this man, his coming out is a loud scream from the people of this country to the judicial system, to the politicians. Wake up. If this is not injustice, what is? This is not a loud lament. This is not a complaint from my side. This is a shout for justice. And as I've always said in this country, unfortunately, you have to shout to be heard. And Lakhan could not shout in 1977, Lakhan Saroj, and he comes out now at the age of 104. But I want to tell you, Lakhan, if I hope I can meet you someday, we will shout for you, even if nobody else does. Let's debate.
In a small village in the Kaushambi district of Uttar Pradesh, a police officer, once shocked at what he saw, the Aadhaar card in front of him, that of a bail recipient of his village, had the birth date of 1921.
जेल में कुल कितना साल काट दिए जीवन का, कितना कौन उम्र में जेल गए थे?
अरे साहब तो बहुत उतारी उम्र हो गए। अगर साहब न मांगते तो रोगा जी को स्वामी का, तो हम कहा जाए कि कई साल का का अपना उधार ले आओ, तो उधार ले आओ तो देखने का यहाँ और नहीं सटर रहा यहाँ को स्वामी भेज और दो बांधी मार के
बेल मिल गई। इतना साल जीवन का जेल में गुजार दिए, अब पीछे देखते हो किससे शिकायत है?
हाँ कितनी शिकायत साहब।
His name, Lakhan Saroj, aged 104 years, released from the Kaushambi jail just 13 days ago, after fighting a 48-year-long legal battle in the courts of India in a case where he was once awarded a life sentence for an alleged murder.
कितने साल रहे जेल में?
साहब 5 साल नैनी सेंटर में रहे, तो फिर जीवन कारा होगा, फिर हमें हाई कोर्ट बेल की है, फिर छोड़ गए, फिर लड़ते रहे साहब।
उम्र कितनी हो गई?
उम्र साहब 3 साल।
103 साल।
हाँ सर।
Lakhan's wife passed away a couple of decades ago. His grandchildren play in the background, oblivious to his existence. Lakhan has spent nearly 5 decades behind bars for a matter that predates the birth of his children.
इनकर केस यही है, झगड़ा उगड़ा की ही रहे हैं, हमको नहीं मालूम था, ये हमरे नापायदाइश किया इनकर झगड़ा है।
Arrested for an attempted murder charge in 1977, Lakhan was given a life sentence in 1982. While he appealed in the court, the proceeding took a little over 43 years to complete. All his contemporaries in the case are now long gone.
झगड़ा हुआ था, उनमें से कोई बचा है कि सबका देहांत हो गया?
और साहब जो झगड़ा हुआ है, नौखई बचा है, बस उन्हें भाई रहा, चंदा मार का, राजा मार का, प्रभु मार का, और नौखई भी बचा है।
But a 48-year-long legal battle was not the end of Lakhan Saroj's ordeal with the Indian judiciary. He was made to endure an 18-day wait to come out of the prison even after his acquittal due to quote-unquote administrative reasons.
2/5/2025 को माननीय हाई कोर्ट से ऑर्डर आता है कि इनको बाइज्जत बरी कर दिया जाए और इनको जिस कारागार में भी निरुद्ध हो वहाँ से इनको तत्काल छोड़ा जाए। इस क्रम में रिहाई आदेश इनका 20/5/2025 को जिला कारागार को प्राप्त हुआ।
ये मैटर जो था वो इलाहाबाद का था, ये सेशन ट्रायल जो उसका चल रहा था लखन पासी का, वो यहाँ का ना होकर के इलाहाबाद का था। तो हम लोगों ने इलाहाबाद के डेरे से वो कॉन्टैक्ट किया और उन्हें ये बताया कि हमारा ये अपील डिसाइड हो गया है और इस जजमेंट का नॉलेज हमें हो गया है और उसको अब रिलीज किया जाना है।
They say justice delayed is justice denied. In the case of Lakhan Saroj, it was with impunity.
समय जेल में काट दियो, जुल्म करे ना रहो, का सोचो तो जेल से बाहर आए हो, का सोचो तो?
अब साहब यार जितनी उम्र रही जेल में बिता गया, अब समझ ले कमाऊ में भी पैसा कमा लिया, अपनी बैठे बैठे कर रही थी। अब जो सरकार जितना बेगुनाह की है हमारे।
With a lower judiciary that is clogged with over 4.5 crore pending cases and a higher judiciary that looks at a 6 million figure, Lakhan Saroj is not just an exception but a concerning norm. Even India's top legal eagles are finding this difficult to hide any longer.
I must tell you that about 3 decades ago, in a celebrated judgment of the Supreme Court of 7 judges in Ramchandra Rao's case, the Supreme Court settled the law that Article 21 rights extend from investigation all the way through to appeal. Now, an Article 21 right is really of 2 types. One is the right to speedy trial, and one is the element of life and liberty. So when you deal with a situation like the one that you have brought to the notice of the viewers today, I think it shocks the conscience of anybody that a man who went into jail in 1977 comes out in 2025 acquitted of the offense, and it's quite shocking, and I don't know whether we have anything to say to him and his family.
From examples like the Pune Posha case, where an essay tipped the scales of justice, or be it alleged sacks of burned cash recovered from Justice Verma's residence that were balanced by an in-house inquiry, a big question emerges. Are the scales of justice tilted against the common man?
We have view people who blame and don't blame the judicial system. On one side, we have Neelam Krishnamurthy. She's a well-known citizen voice. She's president of the Association for Victims of Upar Tragedy. She lost her children and continues to fight for so many years. Thank you, Neelamji. Satish Manishinde, senior advocate in the Bombay High Court, and Nalin Kohli, senior advocate in the Supreme Court. Thank you very much. And we have on the other side Adish Agarwal, former president of the Supreme Court Bar Association, senior journalist Sanjeev Srivastav from Jaipur. My first question is to Justice Iqbal Ahmed Ansari. This particular case was picked up only because there was some spring cleaning happening of the system. And this gentleman here obviously did not have the resources to hire a lawyer and fight his own case. And therefore he spent all these years, he's out at 104. Who's accountable?
The whole system of judiciary is accountable, and believe me, Mr. Goswami, it's a case which will shock anyone, and it has shaken me also vigorously. We can only apologize to this man. No excuses for keeping him for 48 years in jail and then releasing him. But you will, I don't know if you know, in a high court like Allahabad, we have about 100 vacancies of the judges. So the appointment of judges is one of the important questions, and the ability of the judges to deal with the cases speedily. These are the 2 things. As far as the trials are concerned, they obviously involve police. Because starting from the arrest of an accused, investigation of the case, securing the presence of the accused for the trial, securing the presence of the witnesses for trial, everything takes time. But a delay of this kind is something which is unbelievable, shocking.
No, but who's supposed to appoint those judges? Who's supposed to appoint the judges? Justice Ansari.
Judiciary itself. Judiciary has taken the responsibility of appointing, but there are aberrations where it happens, the delay happens at the level of the
so that means nobody,
particularly in the high court appointments.
Why? No. So
Yes.
Nobody's stopping the judiciary from appointing. They won't let anyone else appoint. And with respect to the judges, they have very long holidays. The judges are on vacation for a long time. Judges are not appointed. And poor people suffer this. I can tell you this, Justice Ansari, that when the Uddhav government on a politically trumped charge put me in jail, I shared the cell with a man who had been in jail for 30 years or more. And he was afraid of going out, and because, his life had changed in this period. I've seen this firsthand. And in my case, I remember Justice Chandrachud said, Para 61, deprivation of liberty even for a single day is one day too many. We must always be mindful of the deeper systemic implications of our decisions. But Satish Manashinde, this is all big talk. On the ground, a man is declared innocent at 104.
Well, I must say that the entire judicial system in our country has gone backwards. I can tell you that the criminal justice system in Allahabad has totally failed. The Supreme Court always gives directions to the High Court or makes a request to consider all old pending cases, particularly criminal cases, to see that they are all taken up expeditiously. Normally in the Bombay High Court or in the Supreme Court, every 6 months, a review is taken of case for 10 or 20, and they are put up before the benches. So in this case, I must say, the Allahabad High Court has failed because the concerned department, the criminal department in the Allahabad High Court, is supposed to put up all pending cases before the High Court benches for expeditious hearing, so they are not put it. So all those officers responsible should be sacked. The jail authorities are supposed to bring to the knowledge of the Legal Services Authority when they come for inspection to point out as to what are the old cases pending. There are cases which are taken up of senior citizens in every criminal court, particularly in the High Court and the Supreme Court, to see that their cases are dealt with expeditiously. That has also failed. So people concerned with the Legal Service Authority should also be sacked. Apart from all this, the Supreme Court time and again has questioned the speed with which the Allahabad High Court is hearing the matters. The fact that a large number of judicial officers is not being taken into consideration for appointment is no excuse. So if cases are pending, what are the entire hierarchy, right from the department concerned in the registry of Allahabad High Court, the clerks, the bench clerks, the Legal Service Authority, the district court authorities. What are they doing?
But Satish Manashinde, he's not a film star, he's not a celebrity, he's a poor man.
So
he's
what?
a poor man, he cannot afford big lawyers. This is not a high profile case. And we have therefore, in this case, by the way, I want to tell you, Satish Manashinde, you'll be shocked at this. Nalin Kohli, there are 4 convicts in this case. They all appealed in 1982. They were arrested in 1977. This man was 56 years old in 1977. He's released at the age of 104. The other 3 convicts who also had appealed against the trial court verdict in the High Court, 3 have already died during the pendency of the case. 3 have died in the pendency of the case, and now the High Court says that the prosecution argument cannot be upheld. Which means the case was prima facie wrong in 1977.
What I must say is, Arnab, this system tells us that it is meant only for the rich and famous.
Exactly.
It doesn't work for
this is pathetic. Neelam Krishnamurthy is there. I want to get you in Neelam Krishnamurthy. What do you think of this? I mean, you're seeing this. You've suffered. You lost your children. You fought. You've been frustrated. You've been taken through hell on this. And you continue to fight.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so I think you need to speak up, because what I would think is a viewer watching Republic Today saying, oh my God, this man is 104 and he's now being taken innocent. What if I have a case against me, a false case filed by someone? I'm going to die in jail.
Also, if a person is a victim, he's going to wonder whether I'll be alive to see when justice is delivered.
Yeah.
Because our entire criminal justice system, you see, it's built on the foundation of equality before the law. And we have 2 parallel legal systems, one for the rich, one for the poor. Why else do you think that the judge here, because he's an ordinary citizen, he's a poor man, they've sentenced him and he's languishing in the jail for the last 41 years. And when it comes to Ansals, why is it that they've been convicted twice and both the time the judges considered the age? They said, oh, 73, he's too old to go behind bars. So you can go, please, and just deposit 30 crore rupees each, 60 crore to the Delhi government for building a trauma center. They're convicted again for tampering with evidence. And there the magistrate gives them...
Just the judiciary.
Yeah, and they give them 7 years. And then the district judge says, no, they are old and it's a double jeopardy. Please, 8 months are good enough. And he tells me, madam, if you have suffered, so have they. How could a judge equate my suffering with that of a victim who's lost both the children with that of Ansals who are enjoying their life?
I just want to explain this to viewers because many may not understand that case of Ansal. 1997 Opar fire victim strategy, ladies and gentlemen. When I started off as a reporter in Delhi and I covered this most unfortunate case. Despite being found guilty, the real estate barons Sushil and Gopal Ansal dodged jail with a 60 crore rupee fine. They gave a 60 crore rupee fine, they dodged it.
To the Delhi government,
who were complicit. Now, who assesses the 60 crore? It's a judgment, Nalin Kohli, of a court. If a citizen says, no, I lost my children, it is not 60 crore or 600 crore. I lost my children. I want justice. We don't want blood money system in this country.
No, Arnab, this money...
We don't want blood money system in this country. She doesn't want 60 crores.
No, but that's given to Delhi government for building a trauma center which is still
all cosmetic. It's false. It's wrong. The problem is, Neelam Krishnamurthy, journalists in this country don't speak up because, oh, they'll be filed for contempt. Don't speak. So only an Arnab Goswami will come and talk about these cases, knowing fully well what I risk, but I will speak about it. Nalin Kohli, this particular case is a tip of an iceberg, but it's a very shocking tip. A 104-year-old man coming out, you know, so it's getting a lot of media attention. Your thoughts exactly on this, Nalin?
So first, Arnab, we all must thank you for bringing this story because it's representative of a malaise in the system that has to be cured. It's a heart-wrenching story. It confirms that there is no dignity for human life. And if someone spends virtually the vast part of their life incarcerated on something that eventually can't be proved, it just speaks volumes of how radical steps are now needed to correct this rot and problems in our system. Now, if I just give you a few figures, we have to look at the totality. And I'm talking that we need to look at radical steps because incremental change will not make a difference. We've got almost 5.5, 6 crore pending cases and several lakh cases are added every month across the courts. The Supreme Court is only 34 judges. The High Court's approximately 1,100 judges and approximately 22,000 judges across the country in the district courts. India has on an average around 20 judges per million. The Law Commission has recommended it should be minimum 50 judges per million. This doesn't even compare with Europe and America, where Europe is about 150 judges per million, America is over 200. Now that's on the number of judges. The second part is, as we become a democratic society that is progressing upwards on the economic ladder, the cases will increase because people will invoke their rights and there will be more and more disputes. People will take it to the courts. The courts have to now respond and the administrative side, which is the government, has to find the solutions for the growth of litigation. Now, I was just looking at the national data that we have on judicial data, the grid. What I found is an interesting data. Last month, approximately 21 lakh cases were filed and approximately 23 lakh cases were disposed of. But that is only 2 lakhs. So therefore, it is a very slow incremental gain. And this also changes month by month. Now, yes, there are cases now where the High Court is saying, like in Delhi, and I can say that I'm appearing in some of them, telling the district courts this case is 20 years old, hear it on a week by week. But still, this is incremental. So some of the thoughts, and I'll just close with that, is that we may need to consider not just increase of judges,
Sure, sir.
not just of expansion of the system,
Sir,
but making
but
a more robust system to serve the
I
poor.
get that, Nalin.
Because
but
ultimately,
Nalin,
just give me a moment, Arnab, just a moment, one moment. No, I'll hear you.
Thank you. Nalin, I'm just asking you, I'm totally with you on the numbers. But I don't understand. I mean, the 104-year-old man comes out after 48 years and 43 years in appeal. And the Supreme Court of India stayed up till 3:15 in the morning, burning the midnight oil to hear the case of Yaqub Memon's last-minute plea before his execution. Now, you see, what is the message we are sending? What is the message we are sending? Here is a case of a man who at 104 comes out. That's a picture of, and Yaqub Memon's case, right? A terrorist case. 1993 serial blast case. The Supreme Court will be up till 3:15 to at least give an assurance that justice has been done.
May I respond?
Is it because there are lobbies behind Yaqub Memon? And this man had no lobbies
point.
behind him. This man, you see, did not have lobbies behind him. Unlike Yaqub Memon.
Yes, Arnab, you are making an important point. It is also showing that there are lawyers, and several of us belong to that practicing in the Supreme Court, who can claim access at 3:30. But this man can't, which is why I was saying we need to now have a radical approach to see how that faceless Indian citizen
this is all,
who is equal
so
to you,
I'm
me
going
under the Constitution,
Nalin, I'll be
has
very
to have
radical.
a right
I'll be
to
very
heard
radical on
fast.
it. I'll be very radical on it. And I know I won't be popular among the judiciary, but someone in this country has to say it, right, Neelam? Someone has to say it, stick their neck out. In the case, Adish Agarwal, of the High Court judge who has kilograms and kilograms of cash burning in his house, the entire system seemed to have slowed down till the media made it a big deal. It was almost not reported or underreported, and there was a back and forth. So in the case of the cash haul, burning cash in a High Court, Delhi High Court judge's home, the case drags because it suits the accused. In this case, the case is delayed till the main man is 104. So what Neelam says here, Adish Agarwal, that there are two sets of justice in this country is obviously very true.
I've experienced it.
Of course you've experienced it.
30 years I'm into this litigation.
I don't admit this thing that there are two different provisions, but sometimes some lawyers, some clients have good lawyers, influential lawyers, poor people don't have influential lawyers. So that is the reason poor people are not getting justice immediately. Rich people are getting. Law is the same, but nobody is there to.
No, sir. No, sir. Isn't the law supposed to provide lawyers to under trials or those people in appeal who cannot afford lawyers? Isn't there a system for that?
Of course.
Why was a lawyer not provided for this gentleman until he was 104 years old?
Everybody can have the lawyer.
Huh? Why was a lawyer not provided to him?
If
there's a legal aid system pending in every
lawyer
court,
must have been provided.
What has happened?
Yes, Satish?
There's a legal aid department in every high court. I don't know what that department is doing as far as this case.
The lawyer was provided to him, Adish Agarwal, only as a process of spring cleaning, when suddenly one day somebody woke up and said, let's clear old cases. A lawyer was not provided to him. He's just languishing. If you're in jail, you'll just sit there and you'll rot. Nobody will care. I think they just didn't want him to die in jail. So they said 104, let us send him home.
Actually, the lawyers who are on the panel of our legal aid system, they are also not caring. They care who are being paid separately. A person who is in jail, nobody is there to pursue his case. This was the problem.
So the point is this, no, you're all admitting that the system does not work for poor people. We're admitting it. Sanjeev, is there no, I mean, let's say it simply here.
Yes,
this case proves without a shred of doubt that the judicial system has failed the people of this country unless you are rich and connected. Sanjeev, it has to be said clearly. And, you know, I don't think there's any ambiguity required from anyone's side on it. Sanjeev.
No, you are absolutely right, Arnab. And I think this is one of those rare occasions when I agree with every word which you said in your 11-minute odd intro, and then in your very well done feature, and then people like Nalin Kohli who have given out the statistics and the details of what is actually happening in terms of the lack of staff or judges. But whatever it is, the bottom line remains, like in so many other instances, we have two Indias. One is for the rich, influential, well-connected, well-heeled, people who can approach people. And then there's the vast majority of poor India, which really has no Mai-Baap, no godfather, no nothing. They are just at the mercy of nature, people who are influential. So they are actually, to pick up a word from what Nalin was said, it's a question of human dignity. So they are not treated as human beings. They are like this Lakhan Saroj. But one thing I must say, at 104, he was so sharp and eloquent, and he was so coherent. It's hats off to this man, yeah. People will not be remembering most things. He could remember just about everything what went wrong with his life and about
Neelam, you want to say something
fellow
about
under
that?
trials, but that's a separate issue. But the bottom line remains, it's just so sad. In Neelam Krishnamurthy's case, this whole Ansal's case, and there are cases and cases, the Nanda's case, the Porsche case which you were talking to, the entire system is just so stinking and rotten and sad. And when I was discussing this with your guest coordination team, I said I won't go out on a limb and just blame the judiciary. But I would like to really change my opinion. Judiciary is largely to be blamed, but the entire vyavastha or the system is to be blamed as well. That we have built this kind of apathy amongst us, and hats off to you, Arnab, for bringing out this issue and keeping it your issue on prime time, 9 p.m. and giving it an hour. It's really an eye-opener. It's a complete shocker. It's disgusting. I think not just judiciary, all Indians should hang their heads in shame. What kind of a country and society we have inherited 77, 78 years after independence.
Yeah,
a complete shock.
And the question also will be that in this fight between the executive and the judiciary on higher issues, who needs to control, who needs to appoint judges, what happens in NJSC, you know, the common man is stuck, Nalin. The common man gets stuck. There are bigger debates that we are having here, NJSC, collegium system. We have had those debates on our channel, rightly so, especially after the cash issue. But I get a feeling here today that all that is irrelevant compared to what happens to poor people in this country when it comes to getting out of jail or getting fixed by the system.
No, Arnab, every point you're making is valid. And I think this is one of those rare instances where it's not a debate that anyone is fighting with others, because everyone is what we say in law, ad idem. We all are pained. I mean, it's each one of us here on this show is pained.
Yeah.
You can't have a more heart-wrenching story than this. I mean, people, one day, literally one day you are locked in a room and you can go mad. This is 48 years. I mean, just imagine the number of hours and minutes a man has to look at a small room and just forget about the fact that he has no longer an existence. And this is after India has become independent. That's why I'm coming back to the point I was making, and I want to take it further, is we need some radical changes. It can't be incremental, because it's becoming serious to a point that ultimately justice is disappearing. We are only fighting for the law. It just can't be a fight for law and getting the legal system working around the statutes and law. Justice is much bigger than that. And unless we have justice, we don't do justice to the fact that we are a democratic, progressive country. Let's look at it from any perspective. Whether we talk of the rich or the poor, the system has to finally deliver. And for delivery, the places where the blocking is taking place or the backlogs are coming, they need to be opened up. Otherwise, again, it'll build up. Let me give another example. We say arbitration on a completely different issue is an alternative dispute mechanism. But then after an arbitration takes place, you have 3 more appeals. You have a single judge in the High Court, the division bench, and the Supreme Court. So sometimes one wonders that you have judges who have retired from the Supreme Court, become the arbitral tribunal, and it's back again at the 34th stage to the High Court single judge. So again, we are adding
this case,
layers
the appeal,
to the litigation, which also clogs up and doesn't bring finality.
Nalin, in this case, a man appeals in 1982, his appeal goes nowhere. His appeal goes nowhere. He appeals in 1980, so nobody's stopping. You see what happens, Justice Ansari, I want to come back to you. He appeals in 1982, but the appeal disappears.
Sorry.
A poor man's appeal goes nowhere, Justice Ansari. It just goes away, locked up in some file somewhere.
I don't know how Allahabad High Court is functioning. It's unbelievable that an appeal made in 1982 will be left unattended. Amazing. I don't know. Somebody from Allahabad High Court has to apologize. And of course, the entire judicial system must be feeling ashamed of what is happening to this man and men like him.
I'm just not sure if the judiciary feels accountable, sir. With respect,
rightly so.
Justice Ansari, I'm not sure the judiciary feels accountable in this country.
Yes.
I don't think they're accountable.
Judiciary does feel, I'm not saying not. But I can't, it's very difficult to say that this is an aberration, because the way you have put it, it's very difficult to defend. I'm simply shocked.
No, you don't have to defend, sir. I'll tell you, sir, since I have the unique privilege among all of you, including all the judges and all of you, I'm the only person who's been and spent time in jail, both in Alibag as well as in Taloja jail. There are 2 kinds of people I met in jail. One set, interestingly, Satish Maneshinde, one set which is very comfortable. Hardcore criminals, they are very comfortable among themselves. And another group of people who have lost hope. And that's what makes me really sad, Satish. There's so many people who've just lost hope. And it's terrible when you meet them. I've met a qualified chartered accountant who was in the cell with me. Fixed in a wrong case, a political case. It's been about 15 years. He was afraid of coming out. Because he said, my family has forgotten me. So I don't know what people watching this program will think, Satish Maneshinde, but it's the reality in our country. I don't know why we can't shake things up.
What is that the entire system has failed and the people who are responsible should be taken to task. It's enough that we are debating now. There's time to take action.
Correct.
We can't, discussing these cases again and again. This is not the first time you brought such a case before the media.
But this is a particularly bad one, Satish. Particularly because he's 104 years old.
I don't know what the entire system was doing. I'm appalled by all this conduct.
We all are. Adish Agarwal, do the judges care? Do the system care?
System cares now. Now, Modi government has brought 3 new criminal laws in which the timeline for every stage of criminal proceeding has been fixed. And now, once this will be properly implemented, cases will be decided early.
Are you as hopeful, Neelam?
Not at all. I'll tell you very honestly, the thing that we are failing is, number 1, adjournments are granted at a drop of a hat. So no matters can proceed. Number 2, when a person files an appeal in the High Court, there has to be a timeline. Okay, we take it up within 5 years. Appeal is filed and it can take 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. That's exactly what's happened with this man. Why should there not be a timeline? Okay, appeal has to be taken up in 5 lines. Let's set some guidelines.
No, now you see the court says after this case, now they say after 48 years, They say, Satish, the evidence is weak and unreliable. Key witnesses are dead, original complainants are gone, the trial has lost its foundation.
They should have been decided in 1982.
Correct.
The case was admitted.
If the evidence is weak and unreliable, the appeal should have been finished in weeks.
He could have been in 82.
He could have been on bail all this while. They could have come to this conclusion after having him on bail.
Yeah. This is no justice.
So when Justice Chandrachud says that even 1 day's liberty is too bad, it had no impact. On the ground level, what this proves, Satish ji, is that it had no impact.
It appears there's no impact. In fact, I don't know what the entire system was doing in the Allahabad High Court. They must be all brought to task. It's so pathetic.
It is so pathetic. Yogesh is calling in. Yeah, Satish.
I've never seen a case of this nature in my entire 42 years of practice.
Yeah.
So he had more time than my own practice. You can imagine.
Can you imagine? It's incredible. Yogesh is calling in from Bengaluru. I'm going to take a few callers in right now. Today our debate has turned into a discussion, rightly so. Yogesh, let's get your views. Let's get several. Okay, we're going to get our first, second caller in. Ladies and gentlemen, this man was granted bail by the Allahabad High Court after 42 years. He's a resident of Gorai village in the Kaushambi district, born on January 4th, 1921, arrested at the age of 56 in 1977. There were 4 people who appealed in 1982. The case came up in the course of spring cleaning by the Allahabad High Court in 2005, and now he's been released, he's been acquitted. It's been told the case was not valid in the first place. N.R. Prasad is calling in from Mumbai. It's a crazy case, but I think a level of embarrassment is required for our judiciary also. Don't you think so, Neelamji?
Absolutely.
Everyone's too scared of the judges. Nobody should criticize judges.
But why should we be scared of judges? I see no reason. Why should we?
Because you criticize judges, then they'll say
But you must speak the truth. They must know what the truth is. They must know how the people of this country feel. When justice is denied to them, whether it is accused, whether it is victims, either way, I strongly feel for both of them. Well, I feel strongly for this old man. 104 years, I can imagine his entire life is ruined. He could have been acquitted had they heard the appeal at 82 or even at 1987. He could have led his life. What took them 41 years to listen to his appeal?
N.R. Prasad is calling from Mumbai. Mr. Prasad.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Hats off to Arnab. You have brought in a fantastic case. Otherwise, we would not know at all.
Yes, sir.
My question to honorable advocate sitting there. They say that lifetime imprisonment is only 14 years. Who is that? This person was in jail for 48 long years. My second question is, what case within 48 hours, less than 48 hours, got admitted at the Supreme Court? You mean to say for a common man, there is no lobby at all? Only for the lobby, they get admitted in the court so fast in less than 48 hours, whereas this guy waited for 48 long years and finally get acquitted. What is the situation for the common man? As a common man, I am asking you, to all the honorable advocates, that what is the situation?
Who would like to take that? Nalin Kohli wants to respond to that, and then Satish, either of you. Nalin, you want to go first briefly, and then Satish.
Well, the first point is that in life imprisonment, you have to mandatorily serve a minimum of 14 years, before which the person can become eligible for remission or release. So life imprisonment means for life, but at 14 years of completion of it, based on good behavior, other things, there can be an option of a remission or release.
Well, in every jail, the after remission of people who spend more than 14 years, and if within those 14 years they have had good conduct, they can be released before they complete 14 years. So the department concerned in the jail where he was languishing should be held responsible, because the officers concerned with the jail administration are supposed to inform any detainee or any convict of his rights under the law, particularly of remission, if they spend 14 years in jail. So if it has taken...
no, but Ram Rahim, I'll ask, but Ram Rahim, who's politically influential, has gone 13 plus paroles from the Haryana government in 7 years.
Because
he was with his so-called supporters ahead of the Dera's Foundation Day. Nalin Kohli, it's believed that BJP also benefits from his support. These are relevant questions.
I've read about that in the media, Arnab, with this. Yes, I've read about that in the media, Arnab. And parole is, of course, a right that someone who's incarcerated can seek. Now, what are the circumstances of these 13, if this figure you are saying is correct? That
no, actor Darshan, I'll give you another case. In Karnataka, actor Darshan was given bails on ground that the court found delays in recording statements of witnesses and other reasons. It was also in a case in connection with alleged murder. He's a superstar with political connections in Karnataka. Right? So I'm only giving obvious cases. People will ask, what happens? Why doesn't this happen to Darshan or Ram Rahim?
No, that's a fair question.
So this is the point. And what about your case, Neelam? I mean, you should talk about your own case today.
No, so that's what I'm saying. The thing boils down only to this, that the law of the land is different for rich and poor. These people could move the High Court for parole because they have the money. They can engage a fleet of lawyers, the best of lawyers, when ordinary citizens cannot. Why is it that it's taking 30 years for the courts to deliver justice to the Upar victims? I want to ask them, do they want me also to die before I can get justice? I'm waiting for the last 28 years. And all I get when I go to the court is an adjournment.
How long have you fought? 28 years now?
It'll be 28 years on the 13th of June.
How's your daily fight on this, Neelamji?
My daily fight is running between the courts, between my lawyers' conferences and the other things I need to do. I mean, my entire life is ruined. My entire business, what I was doing, it's gone. Whom do I work for? And where do I have the time? I either follow up the case, I go to the courts, or leave it on my lawyers. The prosecutors aren't very diligent. I could have never got conviction had I not gone to the courts myself and involved in the matter myself. Both me and Shekhar, we've been going to the courts regularly, thousands and thousands of times. I've just forgotten how many times we've been to the courts. Maybe more times than any of these lawyers would have gone in the last 28 years. I've gone to all the different courts, trial court, high court, Supreme Court. There are times when I have 4 to 5 cases on a single day. And those people have the best of lawyers. These are these lawyers who had them delay and derail the trial. And then at the end of it, the judges say, oh, he's so old. He's faced such a prolonged trial.
Let us release him. He's 100 years old. Let us release him.
He's a 73-year-old.
Yeah.
Let him not be sent behind bars. What are you going to gain by sending him behind bars?
Only because you don't want a headline that a 104-year-old man died.
Because he's a rich man, Arnab, but this man was poor. So nobody bothered for him. Because Ansals are a known name.
A man enters prison late into his 50s. And leaves prison into his hundreds. And the entire judicial system in this country is quiet today. We have no suo moto comments on this. This will not be the subject of this foundation, that foundation speech in law universities. General Nishchay is our last caller from Jabalpur. General Nishchay, please.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind, Arnab.
Sir.
Arnab, Jai Hind to you.
Jai Hind to you, sir.
Arnab, firstly, kudos to you for daring the almighty judicial system of India.
Someone has to, sir.
And Arnab, before I ask my 2 small questions, I need to make a statement that I have given my life for the country. And I represent a system which understands accountability and transparency. Having said that, Arnab, my question is for nobody else but to this eminent panel which you have gathered together today here. My questions are to this eminent panel. First question is, gentlemen, I've heard you all. And I understand how you sympathize with what is wrong happening in the judicial system. But my observation is that, in our country, our honorable courts are very fond of taking suo motu cognizance of any issue.
Correct, sir.
Any issue under.
No suo motus.
Now, the question is, in this case, don't you think that our honorable Supreme Court should take suo motu cognizance and initiate judicial reforms in the country? First question. And the second question, if that doesn't happen, Jonathan, if that doesn't happen, because our Chief Justice of India doesn't really happen, then my question to the eminent panel today is whether any one of them, having heard their views, whether any one of them is willing to submit a PIL in the Supreme Court of India.
I'll ask that question. Is any one of you willing to submit a PIL on these matters?
Well, if somebody does file it, I'm happily going to argue it.
Okay, thank you for the offer. General Nishchay, I think as Nalin said, everyone is in consensus on this debate. I'm grateful to all for coming and sharing their views. And I appeal to everyone, including in the media, to start questioning what is wrong with the judiciary. If we don't play our role as the fourth estate, as a very important institution in this country, I don't know who will. Thank you for watching tonight. See you tomorrow. Good night and goodbye.
Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।